Good morning. Happy Saturday. Thank you
Hey,
guys
everybody.
for joining us today to go over the Intro to Creative Strategy course. We are so excited to share these first few chapters of this 4+ hour video course that Shane and I quite literally poured our just love and time and energy into to give you guys essentially everything you need to become that well-rounded creative strategist. And the reason why I say well-rounded is because if you're a UGC creator and you've been coming up with your concept ideas and you've been writing your scripts, you are already operating as that creative strategist. However, You are not operating as the full-fledged creative strategist in the sense that UGC is but one fraction of your day as a creative strategist. And so that's why we created this course. So not only will you be able to offer a completely new service to your clients as that creative strategist, charging anywhere from, I would say, like $75 an hour upwards to $200+ an hour. And the reason why I say that is because when I started officially offering my creative strategy services back in 2020, I had started charging $75 an hour. But fast forward to present day and I'm charging $200+ an hour. So it's great. But then also outside of that, you also get to raise your rate as a UGC creator, because when your clients are hiring you for UGC, they're not just hiring a UGC creator, they're hiring the expert creative strategist. And it's all thanks to this course.
Wow, couldn't have said it any better.
Oh.
Yeah, we're so excited to share this, and we do have like a another version of this that's like the actual video course intro of what we're going over, and it's on our website, so you can obviously do the intro course on your own time again if you want to, or rewatch this. But yeah, I'm excited to jump in. We got a lot to talk about, so
Yeah.
why don't we get started? And if you're new here, welcome. It's good to see some of those faces that we love so much coming through. And if you ever have any questions, just share them in the chat, and we can always stop and talk about them. And there's no dumb questions here.
Absolutely. Yeah. Please don't be afraid to send any questions. Then I'm also just going to send the link to the website too, if you guys just want to check it out at any point. But yeah, let's dive in. So I'll start by just sharing kind of like a little backstory. This actually kind of goes hand in hand with the course itself, as far as, you know, like what to expect, right? And so give me 1 second. Actually, I'm having a hard time pulling this up. Let's see.
Yeah, no worries.
This window are both visible.
Tiara said, if I'm new to UGC but have the course, can I add creative strategists to my portfolio now? Yeah, I would think so.
Absolutely. She's saying she took the course. Let me pull this up real quick.
Yeah, if you've taken the course front to back, I would be confident in endorsing you, because it's not an easy task to finish that course.
Oh, absolutely.
It's definitely a big one. So
all the exercises and all that kind of stuff, like I think the biggest thing is when you finish the course, you just want to make sure that you feel confident offering these services to your clients. So even if you're new to UGC, but you took the creative strategy course, it doesn't mean that you're not a creative strategist because you didn't do UGC. There are some people out there who are going to follow the pipeline of becoming that UGC creator, hitting a wall in their income journey and wanting to make more, therefore then offering creative strategy. There are also going to be people who prefer not to do UGC, but want to do creative strategy exclusively. And that's also quite all right. Or it could be reverse. You start doing creative strategy and you're like, I also want to do UGC. So there's no wrong answer. It's just a matter of, do you feel confident to offer these services to your clients? And I would say like as close to industry standard and adding value as that creative contractor. Nice. Okay, cool. So just give me 1 second. Let me just pull this up. I know we have this in front of you. All right. So basically, if you're watching this video, it's safe to say that you've been wanting to dive into the world of creative strategy, or you already have, and you're looking to take your expertise and your skill sets to the next level. And this is all the while without the ridiculously high cost of traditional education. And when I say high cost of traditional education, for me personally, I grew up low income. I was a free lunch kid, and I wasn't able to afford a traditional education after high school. And so for me, getting to a point in my career where I'm able to now make this information significantly more accessible. I mean, when you think about it, it's kind of crazy. Like a college textbook is like hundreds of dollars, and that doesn't even include paying for the course, let alone paying for the degree. And so we've made it a point to really make this information as accessible as possible, while also offering, a preview of the course to make it completely for free. But so whether you're self-employed already and want to increase your freelance revenue, or maybe you're eager to build a creative strategy business as a side hustle, this course is for you and you are in the right place. And then really quickly, for anyone that's either on this live right now or is watching the recording, for those who don't know, my name is Kelly. A decade ago, I stood exactly where you are now, hungry for knowledge, but without the means to access traditional education. Now, that could be because of money, finances. That could be because of time. Maybe you already have your schedule booked and packed and you can't afford to go back to school. Also, in my opinion, for this industry, you don't need a degree, and I'm living proof of that. So let's save some money and invest into this course rather than just going back to school. But so after working 3 part-time jobs in high school for myself to be able to afford just 1 semester of college, I fell into the world of direct response marketing. So I did at first decide to try to afford college by going to community college and working 3 jobs through my senior year of high school to afford that 1 semester. But thankfully, I came across direct response marketing and creative strategy very quickly and was able to discontinue my traditional studies. And so I am entirely self-taught and have paved a way to help others become that creative strategist without that traditional education as well. And so in this comprehensive video course, again, we're going to be showing a preview of them, the early chapters. We're going to be embarking on a journey covering a spectrum of topics from the intricacies of direct response marketing and the subtle nuances of organic social to the art of project management and working effectively with freelancers. We're leaving no stone unturned. So it's not just, creative strategy for UGC. There are, there's strategy for landing pages, for email campaigns. All these strategies you're going to be learning in this course are not just limited to UGC. They work across the board for regardless of, what it is platform wise or part of the funnel that you're working on as that strategist. And so additionally, we've also included what is tangible resources to support you on your creative strategy journey, setting you and your business up for success from day one. And so when I say tangible resources, I'm talking about these. I'm not even going to do them justice. Shane, can you just talk very briefly about these decks in the course?
Yeah, I mean, I would say you're talking about like the expansiveness, I guess.
Just that we're giving them tangible resources. So it's like, we
Right.
have the Power of UGC deck for a client who
Oh, I
says
see
that
what you meant. I
UGC isn't
thought you
on
meant
brand for
yes.
them.
Sorry, I misunderstood what you're asking. Yes. So the templates that we give you for being a creative strategist, a huge part of creative strategy, since we've been doing it for a while and we've been in the agency space, a lot of it is pitch decks. It's a lot of presentations because you're concepting, you're getting an idea approved, and you're getting backing from the client. The way you pitch an idea is like 50% of the job, and I think it's hard to maybe understand that and that's a big difference from being a UGC creator, because a lot of times you're being given a brief, but you're the one creating the brief. You're the one creating the idea that goes to the client. You're getting the client's buy-in. You're reviewing the how well something performed, which is called a postmortem. Like, these decks are something I would charge thousands of dollars for in my professional career. But you can get them for free with the course, or they're $50 on our website, because you guys just need them. It's just not gonna. It's impossible to like do this job without having that nice presentation behind you and feeling good and confident when you pitch, because a lot of it is it's confidence. They believe that what's best, and if you come into the pitch with a Word doc and some like hyperlinks, and they're gonna feel like maybe this was like really not that thought out, or like there's like kind of the psychological aspect of making that having that conversation with the
Yep.
client. So those templates are like really important, and there's obviously other stuff in there too as well, like which you can access even now today, like the Magic Brief course, and talking about how you can use Magic Brief with your creative strategy business. So
Absolutely.
lots of great resources.
And so by the end of this course, you're not only going to be able to grasp the art and science behind creative strategy, but also you're going to feel empowered to harness this new expertise as a creative strategist. And so this is your chance to create more converting ads for your clients, increase negotiation power with prospect clients, and ultimately amplify your income as a creative contractor. And I'm living proof of that. Working less than part-time in 2022, I made just over $100,000. Fast forward to this year, really leaning heavily into creative strategy, still doing UGC, but doubling down on creative strategy. I almost hit the 200,000 marker, and that was working still less than full time. So I made $189,000 in some odd change, working again less than 40 hours a week, which is incredible. And so you guys will also be able to learn how to be able to do that yourself. And so this is your chance to create, again, more converting ads, increase your negotiation power, and ultimately amplify your income as a creative contractor. And to ensure that this isn't just a passive learning experience, we've also sprinkled interactive exercises throughout this course. But without further ado, let's dive into what would be the intro chapters of this creative strategy course. So what defines a creative strategy in some terms to get you started? Now, this is going to be something that I highly recommend that you guys just really keep handy with you, especially when we start to go through the KPIs, just because that is going to be very helpful for you, even as a UGC creator. But we can actually move to the next slide. Perfect, creative strategy. So creative strategy, which is a noun. So what exactly is creative strategy? So it is a plan that outlines how to use creative ideas and content to achieve marketing goals on digital platforms. The blueprint in which a creative idea will be executed to effectively reach and influence target audience. And the reason why we wanted to define this is just because it's like one thing to be like, oh yeah, I do creative strategy, but then it's also like, okay, well, what is it? And when it comes to creative strategy, it's about deciding what kinds of stories, visuals, and messages you'll use to connect with your audience online and encourage them to take action. And by action, it's to purchase a product or maybe to sign up for a service. And there is a lot that goes into creative strategy. Some things to keep in mind are the target audience. Who are the people that are getting targeted with the ad? Setting goals for the campaign. What is your end goal with this creative ad campaign that you're planning to launch as a creative strategist? Crafting the right message. How can you create copy on screen or that the UGC creator is reading on camera to connect to that target audience by what they like to hear, what they want to hear, and choosing the right format, right? Like, is it going to be a reel? Is it going to be a TikTok? Is it going to be on Facebook? And along with marketing channels, which kind of goes hand in hand. So format, what does it creatively look like? And then where is it being launched? And how the content is designed along with executing and timing. So creative strategy is not just one thing. It is kind of a bunch of little things that all come together to create that, revenue boost, creating more money for your clients. The more money you make your clients, the more money you can make as a creative strategist, I like to say. And once all of that is completed, you go back to the drawing board and you get to measure the success of that ad and basically do it all over again. So for me, it's like a never-ending game that I get to play. But ultimately, a creative strategy in digital marketing is really all about planning and executing creative content in a way that is going to effectively reach and engage your target audience online, helping you achieve your specific marketing goals, which a lot of the times is creating more revenue for your client.
I feel like one of the things creative strategy is like, like sometimes you'll talk to a client and they'll be like, well, I like the white text. It's like, that's nicer, right? Or like, there's like all these nitpicky things that I think people think creative strategy is, where it's like, they start like breaking out like an imaginary film school degree. And unfortunately, that's not really what it is. It's really what you do every day as a UGC creator, is figuring out ways to like what shots work best, what concepts work best, what creators work best, and really just redoing exactly what you do, but at a high level for multiple concepts.
Absolutely.
Kayla said, as a strategist, I struggle to articulate my performance achievements in conversation. Any tips?
Ooh. So definitely having case studies can help a lot with that. That way, then you're talking less and you have a resource that you can either point to if you want to include it in maybe like a deck, which again, the creative strategy course comes with, where you can kind of showcase previous performance, or just having it in your portfolio. I mean, that's what I do. I have gotten to a point where conversationally, I can kind of break down those case studies. But really, I would say take out time and create case studies of the performance you want to share with prospecting clients or current clients. And then figure out ways that you can feel comfortable sharing that information verbally. It takes a lot of practice, I'd say, but eventually becomes second nature. For me, it's like I can think of like my main clients from like, Beta Brand in 2020 to 2023, working with them exclusively as their creative strategist. I was able to generate close to $50 million of revenue over that time period of working with them for 3 years. In 2021, my ads were the top 18 out of 20 for them that have generated over $12 million in revenue with the top two performers, blah, 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 blah. So like, it becomes second nature, I guess is what I'm trying to say. But first put it down, pen to paper, put it in your portfolio, and then figure out ways to communicate it conversationally.
I feel like I always talk about find a problem and become the solution, and you can kind of reverse engineer that. So, like for Kelly, like some of the stats she'll list are like, like she just said, whereas like 15 out, like 10 out of 15 were top performers, um, which is like I was so successful, I did this. But another way to look at it, if you don't necessarily have those statistics or like you can't really formulate that accomplishment, you can also say, like, start nailing down what was the problem the client had and how did you fix that problem. And
Yep.
it might not be like I got the best click-through rate ever on my videos, like people, or I sold the most product, but it was the client had a really hard time doing this one thing, and I was able to beat that every time, right? And so
Yes.
it might not be a literal statistic that you're able to say, but you can like really boil down, because as a client, you're gonna go, I have these problems that need to be solved, and I'm coming to you to hopefully fix them. So if you
Ooh.
go, I did all these accomplishments, it might not resonate as well as even just saying, this client had a problem, which maybe they have too, and I fixed that problem by doing this, this, and this. And you might not even have the statistics to back it up, because sometimes it's hard to get those stats from clients, but you do know the conversations that were had, and you do
Yep.
know maybe where their benchmarks were. So you can kind of skip that part where if you don't have the statistics, you can talk about solving those problems.
I completely agree. And also, like, read the room, right? Like, depending on the client or prospect that you're talking to, you probably have an idea of what information they want to hear. Like, if I'm talking to a client who's like, we have very lofty revenue goals for this year, tell us how much money you've made your clients. Like, obviously, that's like a very specific request. But then I have other clients, like, I'm doing high level creative strategy for a men's supplement brand. And one thing that I'm always pointing to for my case studies when it comes up is they're really wanting to kind of figure out new value props outside of weight loss. And so I get to say it's kind of like a call out from a case study, which is that's exactly why 310 Nutrition brought me in as their full-time director of creative strategy, because they were between a rock and a hard place. They only had weight loss as their only winning value prop, but I worked with them extensively in testing, and I was able to figure out that bloating, being able to say that this shake doesn't cause bloating was a winner, that, you get to ditch crash dieting as a winner. So there are definitely ways that you can position yourself as a solution to the problem without having to quantify revenue accomplishments, especially if you're just starting out. Like there's a reason why it's like, when you start out, you're like, well, I can't say that. We all started there. So yeah,
Right.
figure out a creative way to basically market yourself the same way you would your clients. There are unique aspects of you that you can quantify or communicate to show that you can be a solution to that client as well, to the problem they're having. Nice. So as far as objective goes, so objective is the main goal of an advertising campaign, like increasing brand awareness, boosting sales, or generating leads. So you need to know the objective before you begin strategizing. So objective can be there's different objectives depending on, the situation. So one example I just gave was we're bringing Kelly in as a high-level creative strategist, and the objective is for her to figure out new winning value props for this product. Or is it a specific creative campaign that we're doing and we're planning to launch 3 ads that are dedicated to talking about how this product helps overcome bloating or whatever it is. So it just really depends on what that specific goal is and becoming aware of it. Because if you don't know what the objective is before you start doing creative strategy, you're going kind of in reverse, right? Like all of a sudden you're starting at the end when you should really be figuring out what are we working towards. And so it's important to know what the objective is, again, before starting, because it guides you through what to do in the campaign and helps you to measure if it was successful. And here are some common goals for marketing campaigns. So we mentioned increasing brand awareness, so making more people aware that your brand exists and what you offer. Boosting sales, which a lot of us already do as UGC creators, selling more product or services, often using deals or discounts. Generating leads, collecting contact info from potential customers so you can follow up and try to sell them on the product or service later on. Target audience, which is a group of people who most likely want your product or service. And so you'll want to become familiar with who each brand's target audience is. And it's important to note that a brand or product is not limited to just one target audience. So you'll want to become familiar with who they are before you begin strategizing. And so when we talk about target audience, it's important to know, again, the target audience before you even do anything when it comes to making ads, because when you become familiar with who that demographic is, you can then really strategize on how to grab that viewer's attention. So say, for example, it's a product that is their main demographic is women who are 65 years old. That ad copy is going to be very different from, say, a 25-year-old demographic. And so, again, it's just important to know your target audience well so that you can make ads that grab that specific group's attention and make them want to buy something, sign up, or download, whatever that call to action is. And when we talk about target audience, here are a few things that you should keep in mind when you think about it. Who are they? Think of things like their age, their gender, how much money they make, what job they do. And I know it might sound a little weird because you're like, that's kind of weird. Like, why do they care about my income, my household income? But when you think about it, it actually plays a huge factor, because if the product is $399, the household income is going to be probably closer to 100,000 as opposed to 25,000. And when we start kind of breaking down this person, you can kind of become familiar with who they are, which is another thing to keep in mind. Where are they? Where do they live? For example, if it's a local restaurant, they're going to want to target people who live nearby in the area. Whereas if it's an online shop, they're going to target either specific people in certain areas or countries. And an example I like to give is I had a client, I forget what agency it was. Was it? I forget. It might have been the boutique agency that Shane and I worked at, but they were doing, now I remember. So it was actually a creative agency that I partnered with, and one of their clients was Orange Theory. And so they were actually able to create like geographic specific ads that were being launched in specific areas. So like as that creative strategist, if you're doing ads in Austin, Texas, you're going to want to source creators from Austin, Texas, because if it's a local gym, you're going to want to show B-roll shots of the local gym, and it's not going to be someone in, say, for example, LA. And so outside of, where this target audience is, what do they like? This could include what they're interested in, their hobbies, their lifestyle, what they do. So as far as behavior factors, this looks at their buying habits and what products they use. And then their problems, their needs, their pain points, knowing what issues they have and how that product can help them, which is super important. So by really focusing on your target audience, your ads are more likely to work, which means more people are doing what you want them to do. So they're clicking that link and they're purchasing that product or service. And this way, you use your marketing budget wisely by reaching the right people. Because if you're starting out and you're kind of just spewing. You're just like, I don't know who this person is. We're just going to try a bunch of things. If you have the ad spend, sure, that could maybe be great for learnings, but most brands out there are like, we want to be strategic with this money because we don't want to set it on fire. So who is this person and what would they most likely be attracted to from like an ad perspective? Because we should probably start there.
A couple questions before we move on. So Freya asked, who did you decide your target audience for UGC Pro is?
Ooh, that is a great question. So, like most brands, we have a few different target demographics. And also, that doesn't mean that we aren't obviously looking to attract other demographics. There are just like main specific groups that we've kind of noticed. So, one of them is our stay at home moms, right? So, the UGC community is primarily made up of women. So, we have stay at home moms. We also have, I would say, women. Well, we have a huge concentration of women between, I would say, like 20 and like 35. I would say like hotspot between 20 and 30. So we have that kind of like Gen Z, Zillennial group who is either finishing college, is post graduation, and is trying to either figure out a side supplemental source of income or is looking to leave their full-time job, which I also fell under, right? And then outside of that, we also have our sub demographics that are, I would say, less concentrated, but are still there. So we have our Gen Xers that are starting to pop up more and more. But I would say our hotspot demographics are stay at home moms and the age group between 20 and I would say like 30, 35. That's like what pretty much
a lot of people who are in the workforce for only less than 10 years and they're positively sick of whatever job they have currently and they go, I need something better than this. I need to make more money than this.
Oh, that's awesome. Fraser said, that's ace. I'm a stay-at-home mom. Exactly.
Also Gen Z.
Oh, love that. Also Gen Z. That's amazing. Yeah. So like for UGC Pro, it was like very easy in the sense that like Shane and I literally just studied the UGC space in general. And like it is like mostly women between 20 and like 35. And they're either stay-at-home moms or like finishing up school or looking to have an escape plan from their 9 to 5. But of course, we so appreciate everyone else that doesn't fall under that demographic because it's what makes this UGC community a complete melting pot. And we hope to see more men, more people of color, more Gen Xers and older in the community as well. How common has it been for you to run into potential clients that don't already have their demographics identified? Mine so far, pretty common, small companies. So that makes sense. If it's a smaller company, there's a likelihood that they maybe haven't had the expert to be able to help figure out how common or how to figure out how to like attract certain demographics. They were just like, oh, we have this product and we want you to market it. So that being said, there are ways for you to really be that person, I would say. And Shane, I feel like there's a deck in the creative strategy course that they can use as a tool for that when it comes to demographics.
Yeah.
I would say that's brand market analysis.
Yeah, so I mean, there are obviously tools that we have that can help you kind of work with your clients that are in here. It's called brand market analysis, is like the term for working with your client to try and find those kind of guardrails for what who they're marketing to, how they're marketing, and our guide in here, our template that you get really dives into like a very specific version of that for really focusing on like TikTok, Instagram, Facebook marketing, like the marketing we're all used to. So you can work with your client on that, but it's also not, especially if they're small companies or new companies, it's pretty realistic for them to not know, because you can guess, but you really don't always know, because I love this story. There's a documentary called I forget what the name of the documentary is, but it's about this singer from Chicago from the 60s who produced a record. He didn't make it in America. He was like a coal. He like worked in a coal factory, and little did he know his records were being shipped across the ocean to South Africa, where he was an absolute pop sensation.
Dead Men Don't
And
Tour. Sorry.
sorry.
That's the documentary, Dead Men Don't Tour, Rodriguez in South Africa,
Yes.
1998.
Yeah. Rodriguez. Yeah. And it was during the apartheid, and he became the anthem for a lot of people during the apartheid in South Africa. And this was just some random guy in Chicago that was making music for the blue collar American. So it's like one of those things where you think about, you might think you're talking to one person, but you're constantly talking to more people than you understand. So it's, they might have an idea who they want to talk to, but all of a sudden, women start wearing the men's line of clothing, and then, or the best example is Stanley cups. Stanley was made for blue collar men in like the early 20th century, and has been around forever, and has been like the mug of the industrial man. And sure enough, here are all these like bougie women like loving Stanley cups.
Yeah.
And it's become a female dominated brand. So it just, you never know what's going to happen until you test it. So it's always important to keep that like scientific mindset when you're thinking about stuff like target audience.
Yeah. And while we're on the topic, which I love that example you gave, Shane, it makes me also think about, so when I was working at 310 Nutrition as their full-time creative director, then eventually their director of creative strategy, I came in and their target audience was 96% women. And these women were mostly 55 plus years old. And their end goal was to be healthy enough to be there for their grandkids. And so this is known as a weight loss shake. But one thing that we noticed is that, or when I came in, a pain point was, we're really kind of limiting ourselves here. Because when you think about other protein brands like Vital Proteins, at the time they had done a collaboration partnership with Jennifer Aniston, who's Gen X, but then also Addison Rae, who's Gen Z. So I kind of thought, that's interesting. Vital Proteins and 310 are in the same category. They were able to not just limit themselves to Gen X, they were also able to open up a completely new pool, same product, different value props in marketing to connect to the Gen Zer. And so when I came into 310, their founder was quite skeptical that I'd be able to figure out that, kind of crack the code. And so funny enough, I was able to create, it was like the tester, the kind of like guinea pig concept was my sister. I wrote the script, she filmed and edited the concept. We launched it in August of 2020 or 2022, and it's still running today, which is a huge accomplishment for a UGC ad. It's received millions of dollars in ad spend, and the ad itself does not talk about weight loss because Gen Z doesn't want to hear that most of the time. Because when you think about the older demographic, they grew up with like weight loss and they're okay with it. They want to hear it. Whereas Gen Z and millennials are very like body positive. We want to treat our body like a temple. We care more about, the things we're consuming in the sense of
macronutrients and things.
Exactly. Yeah. And so, that target audience was once limited to just Gen X plus women. And all of a sudden I was able to open up with the same product, a completely new demographic.
Mm-hmm. That's great. And as a lesson there, looking at your competitors or looking at a client's competitors' target audience is usually a great sign of where to go. And steal like an artist is what
exactly
Ellie always talks about. So you got to do that.
Yes, absolutely.
We're moving slowly, but we're willing to go as far as we can.
Oh, I'm so sorry. You're right.
No, I'm just saying we're already at 40 minutes and we've gone like 4 slides. So we'll try to get through as many of these as we can.
I feel like we're also adding good commentary. So worst case, we could always stop and pick back up for the KPI section because KPIs is going to be really long.
Yeah, I'm down to just keep going.
Yeah. I say let's go to chapter 2 because we'll go from here, but
Yeah.
I just for everyone's time, we'll be respectful of it. But as far as key insight goes, also known as audience analysis, it is a deep understanding about the brand or product's consumers. So this is information about the audience's deeper motivations and behaviors, and so it is critical. It's a critical tool for you to effectively connect and serve that audience, because when you think about a product, you are helping solve a problem that that audience is facing. And so you want to go beyond the surface level observations and delve into the why and how behind audience behaviors and attitudes to really understand how that product can be a solution for them and why that product would make sense for that specific person. And so when it comes to understanding your audience, it's important to keep in mind that the underlying reasons why an audience behaves in a certain way or prefers certain things. So we're going past surface level. We're kind of putting on our scientific kind of like side. I like to say, like, being a creative strategist, you're equally analytical as you are creative. And so this is the perfect example. So one thing is while basic data might tell you what is happening, such as say a decline in product sales or an increase in website traffic, key insights is what aims to explain why these trends are occurring. So this involves interpreting data and often requires qualitative research, such as surveys, which most brands already have this info. So you don't have to worry about doing your own surveying. Now, there is a chance that if it is a smaller brand, maybe they haven't done surveys, which is something you could definitely recommend. One tool that I've used in the past for my clients is SurveyMonkey. But so, one thing that I think is important to do is to put yourself in the customer's shoes. When we are able to figure out these key insights, they help us drive strategic decision making. For example, making more personalized ads that can then target the target demographic. It's also important to note that audience insights are always evolving. So, what once maybe was factual can change, and that can be because of social media, because of pop culture. Things are always evolving. So what once was is not always. So it's just important to always stay on your toes and just be prepared for really anything to change.
Yeah, it's basically just evidence.
Yep.
I mean, that's if we're talking about the scientific method, key insights are just evidence.
Absolutely. Nice. So unique selling points. Give me 1 second. All right. So unique selling points. What basically sets the product apart from their competitors? So when you choose to focus on unique selling points over value props, you are highlighting the features that make this product unique to their competition. And the reason why I emphasize that is because an example that I like to give is if you're a lotion brand, yes, it is moisturizing. That is a value prop, but so is every other moisturizer on the market. So what sets your moisturizer apart? What are the unique selling points, the USPSs?
Extra moist.
Yeah.
It's more moist than all the other moisturizers.
Like, is it a B Corp? Is it women founded? Do they have CBD in their product? Do they donate 1%? Whatever it is, like there are tons of different value props, but there are also very important unique selling points that you should really be focusing on. And it's really a great way is to kind of study the competition, right? Direct competitors and strategically choosing unique selling points that like very directly show this product is superior to this competition without you even having to say that. Supporting evidence. So supporting evidence plays a crucial role in validating and strengthening a creative strategy. So in this context, supporting evidence is crucial for things like data-driven insights, justifying creative choices, measuring performance, continuous improvement as far as performance goes, convincing stakeholders, risk mitigation, and aligning with goals. And so supporting evidence in digital marketing serves as this guide to justify, to measure, and to refine those creative strategies, ensuring that they are effective and aligned with overall marketing objectives. So one thing that I've really learned over the course of my career is your client is they'll listen to you, but they'll be more inclined to listen to you if you can point to something. And in this case, it's supporting evidence. Were there any questions that I missed? Actually, you know what? There was one question that Des had asked. I developed the concept and scripts for most UGC campaigns. So would that be the first step to begin positioning myself as a creative strategist? Yes, absolutely. So what's cool as that UGC creator who's coming up with concept ideas, who's writing these scripts, you are already operating as a creative strategist, but for you, you're going to want to make sure that you can communicate that you offer creative strategy for user-generated content concepts. Of course, if you've invested into the course or you're familiar with leading creative strategy on statics, GIFs, long-form video, landing pages, email campaigns, then you can say that you are like a full-fledged creative strategist, but you want to be specific. So if you are specifically looking to offer creative strategy for UGC, you can definitely do that. But as far as positioning yourself, I would just include it in your services offered, creative strategy for UGC. Perfect. Nice. So tone and style. So oh, sorry. Hello. Wait, how weird. I can't hear you.
Oh, that's why. I had my mic muted.
Okay, I thought I did something. That was my bad.
Yeah, no. My bad.
Nice.
Yeah, we can move on.
Awesome. So tone and style. So we're talking mood, voice, and visual approach. So this is basically how your ad talks and looks, and it dictates who it connects to along with the brand and the product. And so it's important to really become aware of your tone and style because, again, tone is the way that your ad talks. So it can be friendly, it can be serious, it can be funny, it can be formal or casual. For example, an ad for a kid's toy might sound fun and exciting, while an ad for a bank is going to definitely be way more serious and professional. Whereas style is how your ad looks. So it includes things like color, types of asset use, and overall design. And so a fashion brand might use stylish and trendy images, while a tech company, say like a SaaS product, might go for a more clean and modern look. And so when it comes to connecting with people, the right tone and style help people relate to your ad. So if your ad sounds and looks like something that they're interested in, they're more likely to pay attention to it. And when they give your ad more attention, they're more likely to click the link. And when they click the link, they're more likely to make that purchase. And so tone and style helps show off the brand's personality, helps them stand out and connect with the target audience.
A good way just to like think about this is when you have a client and you look at their organic social and you say like, here's like an organic post that did really well. Like, look at that and go, what was the tone and style there that worked? Or a competitor that had a really popular organic video. And like for UGC, we're all here making videos to try and imitate that organic style. So that's a great way to just look at like a basic video and go like, what kind of text were they using? What was like the intro text for the hook? Like what music were they using? And those are kind of things that you can kind of imitate over time if you kind of study what works organically.
Exactly. Message. So this is the key idea that you want to communicate to your audience. It's what you want them to remember and act upon, and it should be clear, audience-focused, emotionally engaging, and consistent across all digital platforms. So a few things. When we say consistent across multiple digital platforms, you want to make sure that whatever the product is and you're trying to sell is consistent in the sense of what is the call to action? Like for 310 Nutrition, we had a $9 starter kit. That was our bottom of funnel, our call to action, our kind of like intro to this new customer because it's only $9. It's easy to get them started. And then, you know, having that strategy consistent. Now, it is important to note that message isn't consistent in the sense of, say, you realize after many studies that one demographic is, you know, say women who are 65 years old who are mostly on Facebook. That messaging is going to be different compared to, say, TikTok if that's where a lot of the Zillennials and Gen Z are for your demographic, whatever it is. So I like to say there are always exceptions to a rule, and it's never, just strictly followed. But you do want to make sure, at least like for branding messaging, that it is consistent, because if, your brand looks completely different on TikTok compared to Facebook, someone might be confused and think, oh, is it a scam? Is that an impersonator brand? You want to make sure that there is consistent messaging, and also consistent messaging to, I would say, like specific demographics of the product and brand.
Like a small example I have is I work with a company called Star Surgical, and they do like a Evo ICL like eye surgery, and it's like very important when you talk about certain things from a legal standpoint, but you could replace legal with brand standpoint of like when you talk about a certain type of unique selling point, like there's no dry eyes and shorter recovery time, that you're like not confusing people by, because if you start saying 1 month recovery time, not shorter recovery time, then it's like, okay, well then now 1 month is that benchmark. And then when you go to the website, it says 2 to 3 weeks. Then it's like, okay, well, wait, is it 2 to 3 weeks or is it a month? So like, if you start like pigeonholing, is that the right word? Pigeonholing?
Yeah. Well,
That's the
how are you trying to
term.
say it? Pigeonhole? Yeah.
Yeah, it's just a weird phrase. I don't
It
know
is.
where that came from. But yeah, if you start pigeonholing yourself into like a small number, then all of a sudden you kind of have to stick with it, or else you start confusing your audience. That's just an example.
Exactly. And also, one thing I love to say about messaging is it's not what you say, it's how you say it. And when you really
Yeah,
keep that in mind,
that's
you
sage
really
advice.
start to realize like how much that really applies for creative strategy. So as far as media and channels go, so this is referring to the various platforms and methods that you use to reach and communicate with your audience. So it is a selective process on ways and places to share your marketing messages so that the right people see them, which is super important. So while media is what you're communicating, so media, think of like, the assets, think the creative aspect, which is the ad, the video, the banner, etc. Channels are where you communicate it. So think the platforms such as Facebook, Google, TikTok, etc. So effective paid media marketing involves selecting the right combination of media paired with channels to effectively reach and engage your target audience. Nice. Budget and resources. So budget and resources is, whoa, hello. Give me 1 second. Sorry. Budget and resources, funds and tools which are available for a given project or time period. So your budget is the money that you can spend on marketing, and your resources are the tools and people that you have to help you with your campaigns. So you won't always control the budget for your clients, but sometimes you do. For example, one of my clients literally was like, here's the budget tracker. Here's your allotted budget. You have like 30 grand to spend every month. Have fun. So if you do, you essentially get an annual, a quarterly, or monthly allowance that goes towards anything that will help you create good marketing.
So one thing that is just good to like get familiar with, if you're like new to managing budgets or like working within like a corporate setting, managing budgets, it can be a little intimidating, and you might not like get things right sometimes just because you might not understand a certain concept, because God only knows that's happened to me enough times where I'm like, well, I didn't know that that was how this is supposed to go. But it's always good to ask questions. Nobody's ever been like, if you have concerns about like how to do something within a budget, spend money, work with like the accounting team, people will help you. They don't really care that much. So don't feel intimidated by it. It's something I've been always intimidated by. But yeah.
Key performance indicators, which you'll probably hear your clients say KPIs. If you haven't heard them already, you definitely will. And so KPIs are performance-based metrics used to measure the success of an advertisement. So they provide invaluable insights into various aspects of your ad's performance. By monitoring these KPIs, you can fine-tune your advertising efforts for better results. So KPIs are kind of like a scorecard for your ad campaign. They are numbers or data points that can help you track and analyze your concepts that you created and launched. So KPIs give you concrete data on how your ad is doing. This helps you make informed decisions about your marketing strategy. It essentially helps you pivot based on that performance. And this is also just a really great reminder that when you create a concept for a client, whether you're a UGC creator or a creative strategist, a lot of the times you can't expect to just hit a home run your first round. It happens. It has happened for me. But as a creative marketer, it's important to understand and for your client to understand that we're really approaching this from a very analytical and scientific perspective. And like most science experiments, you don't just do one round and call it a day. It takes extensive testing. So being able to have these KPIs, be comfortable and familiar with reading them and understanding them is going to help you be able to pivot your creative strategy, whether you're a UGC creator or creative strategist, based on those learnings. A really easy example actually is like, say you created a UGC concept, you're a UGC creator or you're a creative strategist who hired a UGC creator, and you get the performance feedback after 2 weeks of it running. And the paid media manager says, yeah, I mean, this ad was great. Like it had a really high thumb stop. It was one of the highest on our account. I did notice though that there is a major drop off for view through at the 25% marker of the ad. Because of that, it looks like conversions were negatively impacted. So what do you do with that information? Well, it sounds like your ad was super engaging to stop the person from scrolling. It also sounds like your ad was engaging up until the 25% marker of the ad. So now you have to see what is after that 25% marker and to adjust it accordingly based on this performance feedback.
One thing that just made me think maybe we could do, since we're not doing the like full KPIs, is
Yeah.
we could, which is in our free version, the KPIs we'll talk about in the free course. But it'd be nice if we could just do one of the example with like the
exercises.
exercises. Yeah. We should just do one before we finish.
Oh,
Just because.
absolutely. I think that's a great idea. If I remember correctly, we have a chapter after this one and then the KPIs for creative and business, but we could always jump ahead and go through like
That's what
3
I'm
of the
saying.
10 exercises.
That'd be really fun. Yeah,
Yeah.
if we have time at the end or something.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and of course, my brain is kind of like, well, we're talking about KPIs now. Should we just skip ahead to like go over really quickly just 3 exercises?
Yeah, I guess that makes sense.
And then we can just backtrack to where we
So
were.
what is a create, or should we just finish this part first?
Yeah, that's fine. Is this really the next slide?
Yeah, it's what is a creative strategist part.
Oh, amazing. Well, that's perfect. Let's do this. May as well.
Well, these have I forgot these have exercises.
Yeah, they do.
We got lots of
Not just
exercises.
a passive learning experience here. We want you guys to start flexing that muscle and getting comfortable.
Wait, sorry. I know I'm also like, but there was one good question I thought we should definitely talk about.
Yeah, let's do it.
It was where was it? Oh, here. Nikki asked, I've been hesitant to get to the course because I don't know if I have time to start reaching out to other creators and manage their scripts, but at the same time, it would probably save me time from doing it myself.
Ooh. Yeah, so the cool thing about becoming a creative strategist is you get to charge a competitive hourly rate. So, say for example, you take the course and you feel confident to start offering creative strategy services. There's no reason why you can't start at $75 an hour, if not more. I'm saying starting rate. Like I want to like set like a minimum, which is pretty incredible to say that $75 an hour would be the minimum for creative strategy. Of course, there are clients out there that maybe have a budget for $50 an hour, but I have clients who are literally paying me every single week anywhere from $130 an hour upwards to $200 an hour for creative strategy. So the cool thing is once you learn this have this expertise and are able to offer this service, you can start charging very competitive rates, which then opens up your bandwidth. It opens up your time because you don't have to work full time. And that's what's been so incredible is like, I'm really only working like 20 to 30 hours a week. And yet I still was able to almost hit that $200,000 marker. So that's creative strategy with UGC. And so that's kind of the incredible aspect is, you know, what might feel like not having enough time could, like you said, ultimately open up your window of time to be even more available than you are now. So that said, if you are looking to raise your rates as a UGC creator, meaning then you can take on higher paying opportunities to then take on less work, which then opens up your bandwidth, but then also offer creative strategy as a service, making a competitive hourly rate, enabling you to still work less than full time. That's kind of the like other perspective I would at least just like share, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, the important thing to remember is that as a UGC creator, getting paid per concept, your time is not being uh, adequately compensated for at scale. Like you can't scale your time, so you can't unless you just keep asking for bigger and bigger amounts per for a concept. Like it's going to be impossible to keep going through that. Whereas when you get paid hourly, your time is scalable and you can ask for a higher rate per hour. And for the client, they're getting like what they pay for. Like all parties are getting exactly what they want. And you can add, you know, a maximum in there. You can add guardrails, but being paid by the hour is the ultimate way to be paid as a service because you're adequately being paid for your time, which you
Yep.
can't change. You have 24 hours in a day. You can't change that. So getting paid by the hour makes sure that you always are paid adequately. So that's the benefit. And then like maybe at first, maybe you're not making as much or you're spending a lot of time on something for a lower rate. But that's why we always talk about with UGC, it's important to calculate your blended hourly rate. So take all your concepts and track your hours and then go, what is my hourly rate if I charged hourly for this project? And that'll tell you how much you're making per hour. And then go, okay, is that less than $75 an hour? Then you should probably think about facts. It's hard to know exactly how much time I spent on per concept. Yes, exactly. It's really hard. But when you get paid hourly, you know how many hours because you're getting paid hourly. So it's tough. Like UGC is really great and being paid per concept is really effective, but at scale, it's hard to like once you hit that threshold, it gets tough.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right.
All right. And what is a creative strategist? Next slide. All right. So what is a creative strategist? They are the liaison for paid media and creative. So when I say liaison, another way I like to describe a creative strategist is actually the glue, the connector between paid media and creative. So when we say paid media, we're talking the team that is launching the advertisements on platforms like Meta, TikTok, YouTube, etc. So they're not the creative department folks. They are the paid media team. And then when it comes to creative, we're talking about people who are not that they aren't already thinking analytically as a creative person, but they're less inclined to. So they are the person who is doing the physical labor of video editing, graphic design, UGC, whatever it is. And like, obviously UGC creators nowadays, they do operate as creative strategists, but that creative strategist is really that connector between creative and paid media. And so these, being that they are the liaison for both of these departments, this is where they research market trends and consumer behaviors. They develop insights from the data for future ad concepts. They conceptualize campaigns to form impactful ads. They guide execution to ensure creative output aligns with strategy. They collaborate with paid media and creative, and they evaluate campaign results for future improvements. So a creative strategist in marketing bridges data and creativity by blending analytical skills with creative intuition to enhance the overall campaign performance. So creative strategists look at numbers and facts about the people, about what people like and what's working in ads. And then they use this info to come up with cool and interesting ad ideas. They dig into data. They like to know what people are buying. They want to know what they're interested in and how well past ads have done in the past. This helps them know what customers want and what they don't want. They also put their imagination or use their imagination to create new and unique ad campaigns. So again, we're not just analytical, we're also creative. They think of different and fun ways to grab people's attention and hold their attention. And so their main goal is to make sure ads not only look good and aren't just fun, but they also work well, they perform well, meaning that people are converting, they're creating sales. And so they work with these different teams to make sure that the ad looks right, says the right things, and gets seen by the right people. And things change very fast in advertising, as a lot of us know. So they are always keeping track of present and past learnings, comparing them about, having to do with latest trends, what people like, pop culture, whatever it is, like things are ever changing. And it's important to acknowledge that what works now might not work later, but that's, part of being a creative strategist is just being on your toes and ready for any kind of change, whether it's social media, something like iOS 14, when Apple rolled it out back in 2020. There's so many things that are ever changing in this industry and in the world, and you just got to keep your finger on the pulse as that creative strategist.
Mm-hmm. That's great.
So then, what exactly is the difference from a UGC creator and a creative strategist? So a UGC creator, as most of us know, produces relatable and genuine content that resonates with other users or consumers. Their primary task is content creation, photo or video. The content from a UGC creator is valued for its authenticity and relatability. Their influence is often direct and personal. Whereas a creative strategist plans and designs marketing strategies for campaigns, they influence the brand marketing approach at a high level. Their work, while creative, is often more analytical and data-driven, and they are the liaison for paid media and creatives. And so while both UGC creators and creative strategists do play a vital role in digital marketing, their functions are pretty different. So again, UGC creators, they focus on producing authentic content that showcases real life experiences with a brand, whereas the creative strategists, they're involved in the broader planning and execution of marketing strategies, utilizing a mix of creative and analytical skills. So then why do brands need them? So they need them for data interpretation, efficiency, creative innovation, evaluation, consistency, audience insights. I mean, the list goes on. And so creative strategists we're really vital in guiding brands through the complex landscape of digital marketing. So we combine data-driven analysis with creative thinking to develop strategies that are not only innovative and engaging, but also aligned with the brand's goals, but also resonate with their target audience. And so our role is pivotal in ensuring that making marketing decisions, that they are informed, that they're impactful and effective in achieving desired outcomes. I like to say that we're hedging our bets when it comes to how we're spending ad spend, because you don't want to just hope for the best and really not think about it, because this is clients' money. Like, this is their money. And if they're just going to burn money when you're leading creative strategy, they're not going to work with you much longer because they want to conserve ad spend. And so we actually on, I believe, the next slide, we have an exercise that I'll actually maybe just like in real time have you guys maybe do on this live. So when you're ready, we'll do that. This isn't necessary. There isn't necessarily, I would say, like a right or wrong way to answer the question that I'm going to go over shortly, so long as you reference like key details mentioned in the section. But for this exercise, let's say, imagine that you are presenting your creative strategy services to a prospective client. how would you describe the benefits and offerings of a creative strategist? And what reasons would you give for why they should consider hiring a creative strategist? And so I do have an example on the next slide, but being that I do want you guys to kind of like get an idea of like what to expect. Again, when you're ready, just like we'll take a moment, kind of think about how you would answer this. Again, there isn't necessarily a right or wrong answer to this question, so long as you reference key details that were mentioned in this section. And so the bonus point is for being easily understood. You want to keep it simple, not overcomplicated. Again, keep it simple. But yeah, maybe we'll give you guys just like 2 minutes. Shane and I will just
I wish
chill
I had
here.
like a Jeopardy music to play in the background.
Yeah. So again, how would you describe your benefits and offerings as a creative strategist? And what reasons would you give for why they should consider hiring you as a creative strategist?
And we even talk about this with UGC, is finding your own unique selling points. I forget, I think Freya asked us who our target audience is. And, we as creative strategists know what a target, like we've learned the marketing concepts for our own business. Right. And so I think the same goes for as a UGC creator, like learning these concepts also help you understand your own business yourself, but like those unique selling points. Think about like somebody in here said, is it a good idea if I focus on making skit content for UGC, right? And like if it works, it's brilliant. It's a great way to distinguish yourself. So you should be like thinking like that. You should be thinking of your pitch for yourself, because you can't just say, I'm a Gen Z creator and I have 100,000 followers. It's still not that interesting. Like that's not a unique selling point for UGC, maybe for an influencer, but not for UGC. So you have to think about, okay, like what is it that I do well? And Kelly talked about it before, case studies, things like that. So you just start thinking about your unique selling points. And as we also talk about, find the problem and become the solution. So think about what the client's problems are and position yourself as the solution to that problem.
Exactly. Yeah, you taught me that. Okay, let's go over the example answer. Okay, so this would be just an example answer. So as a creative strategist, I lead the charge in coming up with improving ad concepts. I'm really good at understanding what brands customers like while making sure those ads uphold brand integrity. More than just being creative, I focus on what works, using data to dictate strategies. So you are getting ads that are not just eye-catching, but also high converting, helping you to reach your revenue goals with ease. And so the main takeaway from this exercise is understanding that as a creative strategist, you are technically working on creative assets, so ads, but you are the glue between creative, again, such as video editors, graphic designers, copywriters, etc., and the paid media managers and marketing team. So you are equally creative as you are analytical, and that's what makes you extremely, extremely valuable to any brand or agency.
Yep. Yeah, I always love that Kelly talks about it being the glue, because it really functions that way in like an agency where everybody's on this side of the ball, and the creative strategists are really the people that connect everything together.
Absolutely. So what we'll do is, I believe, Shane, the next slide is the KPIs, right?
Yeah, direct
Oh,
response.
wow. Oh my God. Okay, so we'll save this for next weekend because I feel like we have, I forgot how much we gave away for free. Oh my God. Wow. Okay. That's awesome. So this is all the free. So now we're gonna pause and jump ahead just so we can kind of go a little bit over a few examples of the KPIs.
One of the things I just want to mention before we jump to the examples is that all of this that we're saying is free. On our website, on the creative strategy page, there is a free demo not demo, but it's like the first few chapters of the course.
Are free.
And it's for free. And it literally goes through everything we went through. And then plus direct response best practices, what A/B testing is with examples of how A/B testing works, more exercises, and all of the KPIs that you need to learn as a creative strategist and as a UGC creator. You're learning all of this. This is all in the free course. So it's kind of like it would be stupid to not take it. Even if you have experience, I swear, like I'm always learning. So please go utilize this because there's a lot of good information here.
That's amazing. Nice. So
I'll
do you
go
want
to the examples.
Yeah, but I don't want to go like do them all right now because I feel like
No, I just thought we'd just do one.
Okay, yeah. And then we'll
Yeah,
save them for next week because
yeah.
then it'll have more context to like actual KPIs, like
Yep.
you know, the definitions and stuff. So what's really cool about these practice exercises is I actually took like real problems that my clients as a creative strategist were facing, but I changed the names and the company name. So that's actually really cool. Is like this exercise is like actual questions that I've been approached with from my clients. And I just thought that was kind of like
Real examples.
Yeah, real examples. So this is but one. And again, if you go to ugc.pro, like that's our website, www.ugc.pro, you can gain access to the entire freebie, which includes all the exercises. But again, we'll be going over them in depth next week. Anyways, so you are working with Greg, the founder of a health and wellness brand called Juicer. Greg says, we just got performance feedback on the ad set we launched last week. Here are the notable stats to call out for this specific ad. Spend was $1,186. There were 7 purchases with a ROAS of a 0.88, a cost per click of $4, a thumb stop of 30%, a hold rate of 53%. And so for us, these are both extremely strong thumb stop and hold rates. So thumb stop was great, hold rates were great. And so notice also, this is their specific bar. Every brand has a different bar that's been set for performance. So maybe thumb stop and hold rate isn't as strong as another brand, but for them, this is really good. And generally it is good. Anyway, so the hold rate drops off heavily past the 35-ish second mark, meaning that the viewer drops off at 35 seconds. And it goes from 20% video plays down to 1%. And so the only other call out is 4 of 7 purchases were on Instagram stories. How would we iterate on this concept to generate more sales? And so being it's an exercise, I of course have an example answer, but I'll also give whoever wants to practice with this right now in real time to think of how they would respond, give you like maybe a minute to think about it.
While they're doing that, we could just go through. I'll just go through each of these. Since we didn't go over KPIs, I can just give you a little teaser on what these KPIs mean, so you have a little bit more context. So spend is how much ad spend that they put towards the ads or the ad set. So they spent $1,000, which is generally not a lot, but it's a good like test. Purchases 7, right? So they had 7 conversions, which they're also called. ROAS, which is the return on ad spend. So for every dollar that they spent, they got 88 cents. So that means they lost money, but they almost made their money back on that campaign. So that means they didn't make enough sales to make the campaign profitable, but they did pretty close to making it even, which 0.88, depending on what, like the price of the purchase could be really high, could be really low. So ROAS could fluctuate depending. Cost per click is the cost based on the total amount of ad spend and the amount of clicks that they got. So out of however many impressions that, or however many impressions they got, the clicks, or it'd be however much the spend is. I'm
Yeah.
sorry,
No, the amount of money
divided by the
paid.
amount of clicks.
Yes,
Yeah.
so it's the amount of money paid each time someone clicks on an advertisement. So, like, for example, if you spent $100 on an ad, but you got 200 clicks, your CPC, your cost per click is 50 cents per click. And so this helps brands spend efficiently, measuring the effectiveness of their ads, and then it also helps them optimize their marketing strategies and also ensure profitability.
And then so the last two here, thumb stop, which is calculated by the number of 3-second video plays divided by the total number of impressions. So essentially, it's calculating how many people out of all the people that watched made it past 3 seconds. And that's a measurement of it's like when we talk about hooks in UGC, that 3 seconds is really what we define as the hook, because that's how we measure thumb stop. So that's thumb stop. So that means 30% of people that watched it made it past 3 seconds, which is really impressive. Actually, that's good. That's definitely a great thumb stop. And then hold rate, I believe, I forget what the actual equation is for hold rate. It's
Well, for just like general for like view through rate, like calculates the percentage of times a video ad is watched to a certain point or completely, comparing it to the total number of times the ad is shown, which I feel like there's a lot of like phrases in marketing that are kind of like interchangeable. But like as far as like view through rate, like basically like how long are you holding this viewer's attention? If the video ad is shown 100 times and watched all the way through 25 times, the view through rate would be 25%.
so the actual equation, I guess, is the hold rate is the percentage of people that got from 3 seconds to 15 seconds.
Yeah.
So that would mean 53% of people got from 3 seconds to 15 seconds. So that's great.
Yeah. Also, I love that Betty Ann shared her example of what she would recommend. So let's change up content at the 30-second marker, keeping viewers engaged, possibly shortening the ad so that they get a quicker CTA. So this was her response to what Greg had said in this exercise, which I love that you shared your answer. I think that's so cool. We can actually, Shane, if you just want to skip ahead to my example answer that I can also just go over very briefly.
Oh, yes.
So, my suggested next steps were with an extremely strong thumb stop and hold rate, taking into account the above drop offs roughly at the 35-second marker. I would test seeing if we can edit down the video to around 35 seconds while retaining the strong first 10 seconds, since the thumb stop is working really well. I would also ensure that the ad is resized to 9:16 as opposed to it being 4:5 to feel more native in the story's ad slot. So, Betty Ann, you were right on the target there. Definitely testing cut down, seeing, the drop offs at 35 seconds. Let's either make it more interesting after the 35-second marker, or let's just do a cut down version and see if that works just as well. But then also, if you see in the commentary that Greg said, he did say the only other call out is 4 of the 7 purchases were on Instagram stories. And so, my suggestion, just because, it didn't say whether it was 4:5 or 9:16, was just like, oh, if we haven't already resized it for 9:16, but it's being, launched on Reels or on stories, let's also just make sure that it is native to that aspect ratio.
Also, maybe even throw in a carousel on stories. Like if stories is working well, maybe give them more information through multiple
Yep.
stories, right? And run like multiple stories together. So there's different options in those formats that you can test as well.
Absolutely. And it's super important just to know that there isn't necessarily like a right or wrong answer for all these exercises, or at least a lot of them, so long as, again, you just reference the key details that have been mentioned in the sections up until that point.
A lot of it just has to do with understanding how social media works,
Yes,
Like obviously,
exactly.
like you guys are the perfect people for this, because you not only make the content, but you have a very broad understanding of how these different formats work, look, act. So that's why we always just talk about UGC creators are the perfect people for creative strategy.
Absolutely. So, on that note, thank you guys
Yeah,
so much for joining today. I had no idea that it was going to go this long for us to get basically
only
halfway
an hour
through
and a
the
half though.
freebie, which is great. I love
Mhm.
that. And so that means next weekend is going to be dedicated to going through the rest of the intro chapters for the creative strategy course. Between now and then, though, if you want to get access to it, you can go to ugc.pro and get the freebie right now. And it's actually the recorded version. So you'll hear me talking, giving commentary, and all that kind of good stuff. But thank you guys so much for your time. We really appreciate it. And yeah, if you're looking to gain access to any free or paid resources, visit ugc.pro. There you can join the free community. You can get access to our free AI agent. You can get access to our free
Magic brief.
UGC guide, our free magic brief. But of course, we have our UGC blueprint. We have our creative strategy course that are also available as well.
We have so many resources.
So many, and the majority of them are free. But also, one thing that's been like a hot topic, I know Eileen's not on here right now, but like she was talking about how much she loved our Notion dashboard, which we actually did a training on. Was it 2 weekends ago or like last weekend?
Yeah, last weekend we did.
Yeah, so it's in our live playlist if you guys want to watch it, but like it's literally only like $27 and it feels like the community is just now discovering how awesome it is. And it's like a tool that every UGC creator should have in their toolkit and in the most unbiased way possible.
I'm just gonna share the screen so those of you that are on see what the dashboard looks like. Here you go. We did talk about it last week, so go to our YouTube for the full course. But this is the dashboard where you can manage your UGC business, look at your revenue, manage invoices, manage expiring usage rights, create a calendar, manage your receipts for taxes, and it can calculate how much taxes you'd owe. This is the like as Kelly said, unbiased, the best Notion template for UGC creators. It just is. I haven't seen anything. If you can find one
Nothing
better,
even-
then let me know.
Yeah,
But
share
this
it
is
to
the
us just
best
so we
thing.
can see because this is like Shane like automated everything and like it's not just like, a basic Notion dashboard. It is extensive. It's so extensive that Shane is literally working on building out an app for it.
Yeah, we're making an app. Fun news. So
Yeah.
yeah. But anyway, I hope you all have a great Saturday. Make sure to go to our website and check out our resources,
Yep.
free or otherwise. Take the free course because why not? It's free information to get started on creative strategy. And if you can buy the full course, obviously supports us, but obviously we're here to support you. So if you ever purchase any products from us, or even download our free products, go to our community in Discord and you can reach us anytime and we'll help you with whatever you need.
Yep.
So you're not alone in this. We're here for you.
And attend these trainings every Saturday, 10 a.m. PST, unless said otherwise in the Discord channel. But we try to do
Right.
it every single weekend.
Sometimes we get sick, sometimes we travel. It
Yeah.
happens.
But thank you guys so much for spending your Saturday with us. We really appreciate it. And we'll see you guys next weekend.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.